Hello, everyone. This is the War Eagle Weekly podcast. We are recording on Friday, the 26th. The podcast is going to go up on Tuesday, the 30th. I am here tonight with Josh Kirsch, and we are pretty excited to do this podcast, everyone.
Been wanting to do
Josh,
it for a
tell us a
long
little bit about
time.
yourself, introduce yourself, and we can kind of get the ball rolling.
Like Cameron said, my name is Josh. We've been huge Auburn fans for a very long time. I've actually been wanting to do some sort of podcast slash journalism website covering Auburn for a very long time. We tried doing it a few years ago, but things in life got a little complicated, so we put a pause on it.
Yeah.
And now we're all able to, dial in and actually start doing this. So we're very excited to do this. And we're not affiliated with Auburn whatsoever. This is just three Auburn fans giving their opinions and what they think is in store for Auburn football, Auburn basketball, and any other thing Auburn that we feel like needs to be covered.
We plan on doing this podcast with our brother Brandon. He was unavailable this first week. He is right now out at Sundance and just had some plans this weekend. So we're going to be without him. We're going to do this first episode with just Josh and myself. But I've been a fan of Auburn since 2004. So we're going on 20 years for me. I think Josh I kind of got into Auburn whenever I kind of got excited about football, started playing football in high school, and just kind of, was always an Auburn fan, but not really paying attention, not really, looking at every game and knowing the players completely and everything. It was kind of in the background, and then once you start playing football, you kind of buy in and really fall in love with the sport and just want to watch it completely. And so that's kind of where I started. We are actually both in Utah. Our parents moved us out here back in 2005. And so, it was a rough transition to Utah and being Auburn fans. At the time, you didn't have internet streaming and being able to watch games all the time. From Utah, it was very difficult. Anytime they were on CBS, that's pretty much the only time we got to watch Auburn back in the day. And so it became very difficult, and it kind of spurred the love for Auburn. Is like, okay, we get to finally watch them. And so it was, I think,
something you get to look forward to every single week.
Yeah. So for me, I think it kind of helped get me going for that. So, so Josh, you were saying why you wanted to do the podcast. You've been wanting to do this for a while. Like we said, we started it up it's probably been 7 years since we tried this last. I mean,
since 2017.
Yeah. And we had a pretty decent following. We started getting going, and then just life kind of got in the way. Both of us were newlyweds and still trying to figure that out. And here we are now. I think we're in a better space in life and a better opportunity to do this and get this going. But like Josh was saying, we're just Auburn fans wanting to talk about Auburn. I mean, again, with us being in Utah, we're not around a bunch of Auburn fans or even Alabama fans that we can argue with. And so
football fans in general, man, like coming from Alabama, the South, where football is more important than your Sunday religion, and back to out here in Utah, where people are like, what's football? We only care about basketball and baseball and lacrosse.
There are a lot of basketball fans, which is nice because, Auburn is a basketball school now.
That's fine.
So, it kind of works out.
Blue Bloods.
So, but yeah, we just want to talk about Auburn and give our opinions, and maybe we'll have some people that listen to it and value our opinion. We plan on doing this every week. Again, our brother Brandon is going to join us, and he is an up and coming, football fan. He's been a fan since 2012, 2013. 2012 was obviously a very tough year for all of us, so it was kind of hard for him to kind of get a fan. He's younger than us, and so he was still kind of young, and
He started to really get into it 2013 though.
that was the
I remember
big,
him being really excited during that season.
yeah, that was a big time for him to get into
Yeah.
it. But we plan on doing this every week. For now, until the football season starts, we're going to be doing recordings on Thursdays mostly. I know we're starting to do it tonight. We were trying to get Brandon in and trying to fit him into our schedule, and it just didn't work out. But most of the time, we're going to be recording on Thursday nights and publishing the podcast on Tuesday. And
Every Tuesday.
but during the football season, we're going to be recording on Mondays, so that way we can get some reaction real close to when the game was played on Saturday, and really get you guys some good content.
We want it fresh on everybody's minds.
Yes, yes. So our first topic of the night, though, Josh, what's going on with our defensive coordinator? I mean,
Oh
we're
my gosh, dude.
dude, we're how many weeks into this thing, wishing that the Texans lose each and every week of the playoffs, and them disappointing us
They finally
and winning
did.
the first one, and finally losing to the Ravens, right? They lost to the Ravens, right?
Sorry, Texans fans, but
Yeah.
we wanted you guys to lose
Yeah.
so we can get this defensive coordinator junk figured out.
But
And now, I mean, it's there's two candidates
Yeah.
right now.
that's what they say.
It's between two people, Chris Kiffin and DJ Durkin. Obviously, I think we all want Chris Kiffin more than DJ Durkin.
Well, hey,
although
real quick,
DJ Durkin
I don't know
is
about that.
a really good defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I have the longer this has gone on.
You want Durkin more?
Yeah, the longer this has gone on, the more conspiracy theorists I've gotten about freaking Lane Kiffin and his hate for Hugh Freeze, apparently, and how he has just tried to completely undermine everything Auburn does, including getting
So you think
Derek
Chris
Nix.
Kiffin's brother is in his ear?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Lane Kiffin is in Chris Kiffin's ear, and maybe when we're not playing Ole Miss this first year, but maybe in the future, Lane is just like,
Dadgummit.
hey, yeah. So the more this goes on, the more I'm kind of like, DJ Durkin, he ain't so bad. He's produced some pretty good defenses. But
I mean, he's probably the more immediate coach that makes the most sense right now. But I'm pretty sure Chris Kiffin was trying to see if there's any defensive coordinator positions opening up in the NFL before signing with a college team. Because obviously he wants to call his own defense. He did an outstanding job with the Texans linebackers this NFL season. And so maybe he thought he would get some NFL interest with all these coaching firings going on and these head coaches looking to make a name for themselves, wanting to make a gutsy investment into hiring a first-time coordinator in the NFL. So I think that was Chris Kiffin's holdup, not really contractual issues. But I keep hearing just back and forth. It's DJ Durkin, it's Chris Kiffin. Like the last thing I heard was today is that Chris Kiffin still seems like he's the number one guy, and they're really trying their hardest to get something worked out for him so he is co-defensive coordinator with Charles Kelly.
yeah, and Chris Kiffin. You were talking about the fact that DJ Durkin is the more experienced person, and only slightly. Chris Kiffin's been doing this for 17 years now, whereas Durkin.
I was talking about he's more experienced in actually
Durkin
having a
has been doing
coordinator
this, I
role
think,
instead
for
of
20
positions
years.
coach.
Kiffin for 19. That's what it was. So,
Yeah.
but like you said, yeah, he definitely DJ Durkin definitely has a more coordinator experience and everything. And the thing is he has a reputation for producing some really good defenses. Again, the longer this goes on, the more I look at DJ Durkin, and you get over the tragedy that happens in Maryland. When he
Yeah, I
was the
think
head
that's.
coach there.
I think there's just a lot of pushback from board of trustees and
Yeah.
boosters alike. Like, okay, this guy's got some baggage, and we don't know if we want him a part of the Auburn culture. And I think that's part like not Lincoln, but I think Hugh Freeze is taking that consideration. He's just looking for the right guy for his system, which is why he let go Philip Montgomery and Ron Roberts, because they wouldn't fit into the future.
They were in a culture fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And And DJ Durkin, man, I think when you look at the fact that it happened on his watch with Maryland, there's been coaches all around the country back in the day that were doing the same thing. And unfortunately, it's not the first time a player's lost his life. Hopefully, it's the
Yeah,
last.
it's not a new
Especially
thing,
with practice.
unfortunately.
It's not. But I think a lot of people are understanding because it is something that was a part of football culture back in the day,
Yeah.
and hopefully it's out of the game and it's not something that's going to continue. But it's following him right now. It's holding him back. But it seems like he kind of wants to be here. He turns down. It's reported that he turned down the Missouri DC job. And the rumor is that Auburn is the reason why he turned it down, wants to be here at Auburn. So, do we go with that or do we go with Chris Kiffin, who has, by the way, and I didn't even realize this, coached Myles Garrett and produced some amazing years with Myles Garrett as the defensive line coach at Cleveland for the Browns, and then goes over to the 49ers for a year
Gets
and
Bosa.
coaches, Nick Bosa and DeForest Buckner, right?
Yeah.
DeForest Buckner, and revitalizes his career as the pass rush specialist there for the 49ers. And so, Chris Kiffin, he is the hot new thing right now. And the reason why it probably has been difficult to get him is because he is the hot new thing. There's a lot of NFL teams that are looking at him, and but I believe he's worked with Hugh Freeze.
Yeah, he did. He worked with Hugh
1 year at Ole
Freeze.
Miss.
I think, was it Ole Miss or was it Liberty?
I thought it was Ole Miss.
I think you're
because
right, actually.
he went because he went from Chris Kiffin went from FAU with his brother, where he was named assistant of the year.
Yeah.
And made the transition into the NFL. So I think he coached with Hugh Freeze. I believe it was just a year though. But another reason why we've kind of put off doing this podcast is I thought for sure we'd have a defensive coordinator by now, but for some reason we don't. And it's a little frustrating. I'm not going to lie, but it is nice that we have somebody else who is new right now in Charles Kelly.
Absolutely,
being the co-defensive coordinator.
That dude has got some recruits
by the
under
way,
his friggin' belt.
That's exactly right. He's 2023's recruiter of the year for the job that he did at Colorado as well as Alabama. So there's that.
Yeah.
Anything else about these defensive coordinators? I feel like every podcast out there has talked at an exhausted amount of time about these coordinators, and I think everybody is getting
huge
to the point
thing.
where
It needs to get done. Like, that's why they were working so feverishly to get Derek Nix signed. So, like, okay, we need to get this thing going so we have something to tell all these new incoming recruits and recruits that have yet to sign for the actual National Signing Day on the 9th. And so, I mean, the longer this goes on, I truly do believe it's Chris Kiffin. But if they can't get that worked out, I can see them saying, okay, Chris Kiffin didn't work out, and then them naming DJ Durkin shortly after that.
Yeah, and this morning on the Locked On Auburn podcast, Zach Blackerby was talking about how maybe there is a little bit of pushback from the Auburn support. And they were like, okay, you can go with Durkin, but let's try and see if we can get Kiffin or one of the other candidates.
Yeah.
And maybe that was the holdup, because I think Hugh Freeze wants to move on this, and maybe he's being held back just a little bit on this by somebody.
I mean, if it is DJ Durkin, though, I'm not going to be too mad. I'm not blaming the unfortunate events in Maryland on him. He could have been a little more aware, but, you're a coach, you're trying to get your players in shape. It's just unfortunate.
He was at the practice, though.
What?
He was at the practice, though.
Okay. It still happens, unfortunately.
Yeah, you can't. Right, but you're saying you can't blame him, really, when. Come on.
It's up. He was
holding me back on him.
He was on the cusp of actual adulthood, not just being an 18-year-old. I think he was 19 years old. So at that age, I feel like you should know what your body can and cannot handle. If you're getting a little too hot, so what if you got to do up downs? You just walk away and you get a drink of water or something. You go see the trainer or something. But I mean, I'm not going to speculate on what happened in Maryland because we don't have all the details. We know what the media covered,
Yeah, no, that's
and
true.
I mean
That's
they
true. You're
they
right.
they
You're
cherry
right.
pick everything they want to talk about. But either way, if it's DJ Durkin, I'm not going to be super irritated or mad about it because everywhere he goes, the defense improves from the year before when he wasn't there. Everywhere he goes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. So we'll hopefully by the time this podcast is published on
We'll have
Tuesday.
someone pop.
Um, hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
But who knows? Who knows? At this time, Friday night, there is no announcement as of right now. Let me check. Yeah, still no announcement.
Nothing.
Well, next we have. Well, we're going to skip around here. I actually kind of mislabeled something. Let's talk about the new coaches we've added to the staff. Our first real hire of the off season, comes down. It was Charles Kelly, who was named co-defense coordinator of the year. We stole him from Dion, who he wasn't too happy about it. But
So what?
Charles Kelly, that defense at Colorado, it was a little sus. I know they were needing a defensive line and everything. So
Look what he had
is
to
this
deal
good of a
work with,
hire?
though, man. Dion kicked everybody off that team, so they had to rely on the transfer portal. They did a really good job.
That's because everybody was trash.
It's true, I understand that. And so, like, I was getting to the point where he had to put a Band-Aid on it and quick, and I feel like he did a really good job for what talent he had on that team.
Yeah, you could, if you watched any of Colorado's games, which I watched the first 5-6 games
who
of the year,
didn't?
and then obviously lost interest. They were talent deficient. They were by far the least talented team in the Pac-12. I feel like last year.
Yes, absolutely.
Or
But they're
I'm sorry,
entertaining as
then
hell.
Pac-12. But they were fun to watch. I mean,
Yes.
and he had stars. He had Travis Hunter, Deion Sanders' kid. He's a
Shadur.
serviceable safety.
He's
I
safety,
don't
man.
know if he won't be anything higher than a 4th-round pick. I don't think.
That's
he's
generous,
not
I
his
think.
brother. But Travis Hunter he is arguably the best cover corner in the country.
He's a top 20 talent for sure.
And the kid, he does everything. So Charles Kelly, getting back to him, we got a little sidetracked there, but it's hard not to with Dion. Either way, so Charles Kelly, before he ended up at Colorado, he was at Alabama, where he was the co-defensive coordinator there as well, the assistant defensive coordinator, and he was the safeties coach. And I don't know if you know this, Josh, but the 4 years he was there, Alabama produced some really good talent on the defensive side of the ball,
Of course I know
especially
this.
in the defensive backfield.
Well, he had to have produced some really good talent because his defense was always at an average of number 14 in the country. Like his 4 years at Alabama, they were ranked 16, 13, 18, and 9.
Yeah, and again,
so
like
you
you
had to
pointed
have
out,
some ballers on
or
that
like
side
we were
of the
talking
ball.
about, he's a hell of a recruiter.
Oh
Hell
my
of a
gosh!
recruiter.
Like he like even at FSU, he freaking killed it.
Yeah.
He had players like Levante Taylor, who's a 5-star cornerback in 2016. Then he had Josh Sweat. We all know Josh Sweat, five-star edge, who's now playing for the Eagles. And I mean, he just carried on. his
Derwin
recruiting
James.
legacy. Yeah.
I mean, and Will
The dude's a
Anderson
beast on the
killed it at
trail.
Alabama, and killed
Yep.
it for the Texans this year. If he was just unbelievable. So Charles Kelly is right now. I'm sure he's out there on the recruiting trail, and even though we don't have a defensive coordinator, he has got to be killing it,
without a doubt.
and he's going to help bring in some recruits and bring home some recruits because we need some on the defensive side, specifically defensive line. Our 2025 class is looking amazing on the defensive line, so we're pretty good there. But Charles Kelly should help us stay pretty tight.
Yeah, the other school in the States in the They're
Yeah.
not even in the top 25, and we're in the top 5.
Yep.
So
So
we're doing some damage for
after
2025 already.
Charles Kelly was hired,
And he's just
we
going to
we
help us.
waited and we waited some more, and after Lane Kiffin tried pulling as many tricks as he could think of, as well as being the one that breaks the news. I didn't even know that until I heard Zach Blackerby talk about how he tweeted out the announcement.
Such a
Unbelievable.
friggin'
We
petty
get Derek
baby.
Nix. We get Derek Nix, who
He's such
coached
a
with Hugh
child.
Freeze for quite a few years, and really, man, that dude has done everything at Ole Miss on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think there's a position. I don't think there was a position that he
He was
touched,
there for
because even though
16
he
years.
wasn't an offensive line coach, I'm pretty sure as a running backs coach, you have a very good connection with the offensive line, and you're talking to them about your running backs and everything. Uh, Derek Nix, tell us a little bit about him, Josh, and what he really brings to the table for Auburn.
Well, I mean, the dude, he's a dude. He's been at Ole Miss for 16 years. He actually coached under Hugh Freeze at Ole Miss, and he's obviously coached under Lane Kiffin. Hugh Freeze actually tried getting Derek Nix last year to be his OC before he hired Philip
Yep.
Montgomery, but Lane Kiffin, he
Oh,
just threw
why
a
didn't?
screwdriver in the
Oh,
gears.
it was Lane Kiffin. Ah, see,
Yep.
there he goes again. That
Lane Kiffin's just a
asshole.
punk. He's a crybaby. But I mean, Derek Nix is he's good news for the offense. Last year, Ole Miss's wide receiver room, that was his position that he coached, was arguably the best wide receiver room in the country. They had 3 receivers with over 740 yards last year, which
Yeah,
is,
they
a
didn't
lot more
have
than
those
anything
big
Auburn could
names.
claim. No, they didn't.
Yeah, but they produced, and hey, guess what they did? They caught the ball that was thrown to them.
Caught the freaking
So
ball.
there's that. And he helped Elijah Moore get into the
Yep.
NFL. First season he started coaching for him. Elijah Moore led the country in receptions or receiving yards, right? I believe is what it was.
I don't even know. So I got to take
I
your
can't
word for it.
remember. I believe it was. Yeah, I believe it was receiving yards, and helped him become a second round pick. I think is what Elijah Moore ended up being. Who knows how he's going to produce in the NFL right now? He's on the second team there with the Browns, but who knows? But like you said, Derek Nix, he's just done everything. He's
He's a
excelled at
freaking
being a
dog.
receivers coach as well as a running backs coach, and
Yes.
produced, although not to Auburn standard, some of the better backs in Ole Miss history. He himself played running back, I believe, at Southern Miss back in the day. So now that we got him, he probably is definitely, he should most definitely have a better rapport with Hugh Freeze, right?
I would say
And
so,
there's going to be
yeah.
a lot more synergy going on the offensive side, and Hugh Freeze isn't going to be throwing him under the bus every week about some terrible play call or
Philip.
scheme that he comes up with.
Yep. I mean, I think
So-
I'm pretty sure there was mutual interest last year between Nix and Auburn.
Yeah.
But again, Lane Kiffin just threw the screwdriver in the cogs. But
Yeah.
I mean, it happened this year. We couldn't be more excited to have Derek Nix part of the coaching staff. I'm really excited to get spring ball going, dude. So excited.
Oh, man, you're telling me. I got to see how those receivers are working out. I got to hear reports.
Oh,
I
I
got to
think they're
get.
going to be.
I want
I
that.
think they're
Who
just
was
gonna
that
be
lady
amazing.
last year for ESPN that was telling us that we are going to need to be patient for our receivers? Heck, we were all pissed off at her last year, but guess who was right?
I don't even remember her name because I was so mad at her for saying that. I'm like, you're just a hater.
Yeah.
And it just immediately went in. It just didn't even process her name because I'm like, she's just dead wrong. Turns out she was on
Dead
the friggin'
right.
nail. And so, I mean, it's just, I don't even want to think about her because I don't want her to be right anymore.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
all.
hey, here's the thing. She may visit this year. Hopefully, Hugh Freeze invites her, and she's just like, "Wow, it's
Right.
worlds above what it used to be and what it was." And
Come see
and
the Freeze 4, baby.
hey, Camden Brown is still. We were all thinking back then, hey, wait, don't worry, Camden Brown. He's hurt. That's the reason why she didn't see really good receiving. But hopefully he turns the corner and is able to really become the receiver every single Auburn fan wants. And
Man, I want him to, but I have a sinking feeling
he's
that
just going to
once
be a lot
spring
of the
starts and
same.
the portal opens again, he's gonna leave. Actually, because you got Cam Coleman, Perry Thompson, um, Bryce Kane, and Simmons.
Simmons, yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Simmons.
got those four dudes coming in. Every single one of them got massive recruiting ranking bumps throughout the season. Mainly Bryce Kane,
But Perry Thompson
and
actually
I just think
dropped out of a 5-star rating
he did.
on this most recent 247 announcement. So, but I think that's a lot of him trying to push the issue and trying to do way too much for his team. And who
Yeah,
knows?
probably.
I still think he's a 5-star. In my mind, he's a 5-star receiver, and he got this whole
Oh
ball
yeah,
rolling.
and every Auburn, no, he helped get the ball rolling, but I think we owe all of it to Demarcus Riddick. That dude got the
Yeah,
ball
yeah,
rolling.
he did. He did. So,
So
well,
I
so
mean, I think Camden Brown's got he's got a lot of hurdles to get over. Mainly, the main one being I feel Caleb Burton, because he started turning the corner at the end of the season last year, and I feel like he's just going to build on
well,
that in spring ball, and
they play two different
he's going to
positions
be in the
though.
starting lineup.
They play two different positions.
It doesn't matter. Cam Coleman plays Camden Brown's position, and Cam Coleman, I guarantee you, I'll bet you money that
Yeah,
he
but
starts. He's a starting
we
freshman.
need two outside receivers. So maybe we can get Camden Brown to be that other one opposite.
I hope so.
I hope so, and maybe it's that Georgia
I hope
State
so.
wide receiver as well because actually he plays more slot though, doesn't he? I can't remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but Derek Nix,
He
man,
can play outside, though. He has a lot of snaps.
Derek Nix has some wide receivers to play with his first year here on the Plains.
Yeah, he's got some guys to work with, and I have all the confidence in Derek Nix's ability to coach those guys.
And oh, by the way, he also has possibly the deepest backfield in the SEC, could be even the country. I mean, we have 4 running backs that could be the starter at almost every school in this country, and hopefully Jarquez Hunter gets a faster start to the year, and maybe he's a little bit more involved in the passing game this year.
Yeah, I think all the running backs are going to be more involved in the passing game because
That's just the way Hugh Freeze
offense doesn't really,
Yeah.
it doesn't really revolve around running the ball with running backs too much. They catch the ball a lot, and even Zach Blackerby on Locked on Auburn thought that Jarquez Hunter would be like the 4th or 5th leading receiver on the team, and that's a lot coming from a very deep wide receiver room.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Well, it's a deep receiver room, but it's a very inexperienced receiver room. So,
True, very true.
one of our other hires, I think every hardcore Auburn fan knows about this hire, but some of the lesser, not your
Casuals.
Yeah, some of your more casual fans probably don't know about Will Redmond, who comes over from LSU. Apparently, it was a coup. Apparently, we snuck in there in the middle of the night, and took one of Coach Kelly's family.
Well, no one wants to work with. Yeah, no one wants to work with fake Southern accent Brian Kelly.
Right. Man, I wish I wish he did such a poor job his first year. Either way, we're getting Will Redmond, who they were saying that he was the lead scout on Jaden Daniels, and I don't know. Did you see the video, the TikTok that the Arizona State player posted while Jaden Daniels was packing up his locker, calling him a bum and telling him he was a bad quarterback? So not a lot of people were out there saying, hey, go get Jaden Daniels. He's going to be, the next Heisman winner. Nobody was out there talking about
Well, that's right. He did play at Arizona, didn't he?
Yeah, Arizona State. Yeah, that's where he came from. He transferred from Arizona State. And nobody.
Now look at you. He's the Heisman.
Yeah, but Will Redmond apparently was the lead scout and was the one saying, hey, we need to go get this guy. This guy is a baller. So hopefully we get some more of that. Hopefully Will Redmond comes in there and says, okay, hey, Hugh Freeze, all you need to do is you go ahead and bring these guys on home. I'll tell you who you need to get. And so it frees up
Yeah,
Hugh
absolutely.
Freeze.
Well, Yeah, that's true. I mean, pro football, the footballscoop.com didn't name Will Redmond the 2022 Player Personnel Director of the Year for no reason.
Right,
I mean, the
but come
dude
on. Have
knows
you
he
ever
knows his
heard? Have you
recruits.
heard of what was it? Football Scoop. I'm sorry. Have you ever heard of them prior to
Yeah,
this?
I have.
Okay, all right. Well, then maybe I'm just the one. I was like, oh, this random website named him. Who cares? So, but his
I mean,
accolades.
PFF even graded LSU's 2022 rookie class or freshman class
Yeah,
the best in the nation
yeah, yeah.
because of Will Redmond.
Yeah. Will Redmond had a
So
lot
the
to
guy
do.
knows his recruits.
Yep.
He knows them via portal or high school. So I'm
You know,
not recruiting is going to be covered
now,
for this year
now
without a doubt.
here's the thing about Will Redmond that impresses me. LSU, with or without Will Redmond, they seem to always recruit really well, and they bring in really good talent, and they always have good talent since Nick Saban was there. Okay, they
It's because of the food.
well, yeah, maybe it is, but the thing that impresses me most about Will Redmond is the fact that he spent 4 years at Kansas, which for the last few years, those players he helped discover come to Kansas, not your 4 stars, not your 5 stars.
No,
He found these 3 stars that came in, and Kansas has been pretty damn good lately. And they have been producing some good players. So
they have.
2 years he's been at LSU, but prior to that he was at Kansas, and I think helped build that foundation for the fact that they have been in the top 20. They were in the top 25 last year, weren't they? He helped build that.
Kansas.
Yeah,
I mean,
Kansas.
at some point I think they
Yeah,
were.
he helped build that foundation, and he is going to help Auburn in so many ways in on the recruiting trail and making sure that we're going after the right players. Because yes,
Absolutely.
our player our level of player that we can obtain is a lot higher than Kansas and is up there with your LSU's. But as Gus Malzahn always pointed out or showed us, you can go after that 5 star, but they may not amount to anything, unfortunately. And hopefully, Will Redmond. Hey, Byron Cowart still played in the NFL for 5 or 6 years, so he was not the player we always hoped him to be. But he was an NFL player still.
Fine. Big Cat Bryant. Brian, I won't use Brian Cal. I'll use Big Cat. Freaking
Okay.
bum.
Okay. So, but either way, hopefully he helps point us in the right direction on going after the right 5 stars, the right 4 stars.
There's no hopefully about it because he's gonna do it.
Yeah. So, now coming up.
Hold on.
Yeah,
I also don't think we need to gloss over this because it's huge. After Ron Roberts was fired, or once he resigned,
he's technically back.
Wesley McGriff came back.
Yeah. And
I love that he came back, and it just shows me that Ron Roberts was the reason that Keontae Scott was going to leave.
Yeah.
And is the reason why Wesley McGriff left. So I'm glad we got that toxicity out of the room.
And
I'm just super stoked about this next season. Oh my gosh!
And man, you gotta really admire the fact that McGriff really helped solidify the defensive backs and the safeties and everything. Now that we lost Zach Etheridge, it helped that sting a little bit less. So and I think I think we would also be remiss if we didn't mention Trevon Reed. I know we were talking about new arrivals and stuff here on the plane and the new coaches, but today it was announced that Trevon Reed is moving over to UCF with Gus Malzahn, and he is going to be the cornerbacks coach, and so he's going to be able to be on field as well as help on the recruiting trail. I would imagine. You don't keep that locked away.
He is a top 5 recruiter in the country, so there's no way Gus Malzahn doesn't let him do his thing.
Yeah, exactly. And so I wish Trevon Reed all the luck in the world. And man, it really freaking hurts that he is gone.
Yes, it does.
Because he along with those Auburn men, they during the Brian Harsin years, they really kept this team together, and really, I think
they really did. They were the glue.
Yeah, and the players we were able to get, I guarantee you, they all had something to do with it. Zach Etheridge, Cadillac, and 100%. Trevon Reed. Those three guys were Auburn men and really showed what it meant to be an Auburn man. And so I
Yes.
absolutely cannot thank them enough for what they did these last 3-4 years, because they've all just killed it. So
Yep. I don't want to get into talking about coaches leaving because I'm gonna start crying. I'm not
right,
doing it
no,
on camera.
no, especially when you start thinking about Cadillac and that Texas A&M game
Shut
last
up!
year.
Shut
Yep,
up! Shut
yep,
up!
that'll get you every time. So, all right, well, we got National Signing Day coming up on the 7th. So is the Ryan Williams thing, is that door shut? Is he gonna decommit
Bro,
from Alabama twice, or should we just
I refuse.
get over
I
it?
refuse to believe it's 100% over until the ink is on the paper. It kind of does suck. It doesn't look too good for Auburn since he canceled his Auburn visit and
Oh, it was announced
he's
that he
shutting down his recruitment.
did
But
he? When did that happen? I didn't see that.
the day he recommitted, he shut it down.
Jeez.
So I mean, I don't think Auburn's going to end up with him, which is fine because I'm not mad at our receiving class whatsoever. It's the best receiving class in Auburn history.
It's the best in the
And
nation.
by the numbers. It's the second best receiving class in the nation.
In the nation. Earlier
So
this
I
week.
mean,
After the reclassifications. Yeah, after 247 updated it. Yeah. It's
well, I
still,
stand corrected.
because
I stand corrected then, but
yeah, no, I'm not.
regardless,
The Freeze 4, or maybe
Regardless,
we add
I'm not-
somebody
I'm
else
not
in, Walker
concerned.
White. Maybe he's the part of the Freeze 5 now, rather than just all 5 receivers. But the 4 receivers we do have that we got in this freshman class are going to be killers for us. They're going to be killers for us. Everyone's going to be forgetting
Studs.
about what Alabama did at
Studs.
wide receiver those
Yes.
years, and they're going to be talking about these 4 guys for a long time.
Boy, I hope they go through some poverty for a bunch of years.
We're talking about Alabama, not these receivers, obviously.
Yes, Auburn. I'm talking about Alabama. Yes.
I was talking with an Alabama fan today. I work in the trucking industry, and so every now and then I run into some very obnoxious Alabama fans. And I was talking to one guy today, and he was adamant that they are still in a really good position, and that this new coach is going to really put them in the right position to win a lot of games, and just refused to believe that they were going to lose 4 or more games this year. And I'm really hoping
No,
they do.
you know what?
I'm really hoping they do.
I hope they do too, but the recruiting class would not be what it is today. I think it's like number 2 or 3 in the 2024 cycle. It would not be that way pre early signing period if Nick Saban
No.
didn't retire after their pen was on paper. So I mean, Nick Saban kind of was a genius when he did that because it kind of like forced the signees to stay there. But I mean, their 2025 class is almost non-existent right now. They're number 27 or 28, whereas Auburn is number 5 or number 3 or something like that. So I mean, they're in for some rough years if he cannot get those recruiting numbers up.
Well, DeBauer, his name is DeBauer, right? Something like that. I don't know.
It's DeBoer.
DeBoer. Oh my
DeBoer.
gosh, what a bore!
Yeah.
This guy, he can't even recruit the top class or the top players in the state of Washington. When he ran the Washington State, that's it. No other schools in Washington. And this guy can't even bring in the top talent in Washington, the top 5 players in Washington. I believe he brought in 1. He brought in 1 player.
This is the NIL era too, and he can't even convince people with money to come to his school.
Now, hey, don't get me wrong. What he did with the talent there, and the fact that he got them to the national title game, all the credit to him.
Great.
He has a
Where's
really
the Pac-12?
He has a really good quarterback in Penix who is really good at pointing out holding while throwing a touchdown. Really good at that. And so all the
I was
power
shocked
to
that
him.
he did that.
Right, it's crazy. It reminded me, not to the same extreme, but do you remember how that season Deshaun Watson got kicked in the eye and he was like checking to make sure that his eyeball was still in his socket and still threw a touchdown pass? That kind of reminds me of that. He's like pointing out the holding and then throws the touchdown pass. But so he was able to bring in good players, and the players he did have, he was producing really good talent. But I just don't. If you're not able to close and get those big players, you're not going to last in the SEC, and you're definitely not going to last at Alabama. And so maybe come National Signing Day, here on the 7th, maybe we'll see him, close some players, and maybe he keeps Ryan Williams. Maybe we get lucky and he flips and realizes that following in his dad's footsteps and being a legacy at a school is something he wants to do. But if he doesn't want to be here, we don't need him.
I hope he has a good career. I don't wish, of course, and I don't wish him a bad time at Bama.
Well,
I wish him nothing but success, just not against Auburn.
I don't even want him to have success at Alabama. So that way, I want to be able to, in a couple of years, be like, yeah, that's why we didn't want him. Kind of like how Alabama fans did that for a decade to all of us Auburn fans. No, we let you guys have him because we didn't want him. Yeah, so I want to be able to pull that and be like, see, we told you, that's why we didn't want him.
I don't want to be that level of obnoxious, though. You can be obnoxious. I just don't want to be at that level.
Yeah, I think we can both agree that I have a tendency to be obnoxious. So,
you're the worst fan during games.
Oh my gosh, games are rough for me. I am such a pessimist. It is ridiculous. Oh,
they're rough for any Auburn fan.
Yeah, I distinctly remember 2010's Iron Bowl, just hugging the arm of the couch. And just sobbing to myself.
What about the Clemson game?
Oh, that Clemson game. Oof, man, that's one of my fondest
I can't
memories.
do this again.
Yep, that kick. Oh my gosh. So, any other players on National Signing Day that we need to be looking out for? I mean, Hugh Freeze had his tendency of in the middle of the night taking some players from other schools. So is there any other players that we need to be on the lookout, or are we just is it pretty much done?
I have a feeling that it's pretty much done. We might get one or two lesser known players to either flip or pull the trigger on Auburn on National Signing Day, but honestly, I can't really see us pushing for many other players other than Ryan Williams, because Hugh Freeze, he's not going to stop until his name is on that paper for Bama. So Ryan Williams is still the only one I would say to look out for.
Yeah, and I would accept him and welcome him with open arms if he signs with Auburn. And so,
absolutely.
So hopefully he is messing with Alabama, like Reuben Foster did back in the day. Hopefully that's what he's doing. Well, I'm sorry, Reuben Foster messed with us. So I hope we get some reverse, some revenge on that front. So, but hey, let's talk about the players we do have and the players that gave their all for Auburn. We have as of today, we have 4 players that got a NFL Combine invites. DJ James, Jalen Simpson, Nehemiah Pritchett, and Justin Rogers. 2 of those players are transfers, and one of those transfers was arguably one of the best corners in the country last year. 2 years ago, and then last year he did a serviceable job. And outside of one play, I absolutely loved what he did for Auburn and the what DJ James brought to this defense and what he allowed us to do on defense. And then 2 of those players, man, they went through 3 coaching changes. Nehemiah Pritchett and Jalen Simpson. 3 coaching changes.
That's rough.
But guess what? They stuck with Auburn. And they gave everything to Auburn, and I cannot thank them enough. I mean, especially after the year that Jalen Simpson just had, being first team All SEC and leading the country in interceptions for a period this year. So
yeah, at some point he was tied for number 1 for most interceptions. So yeah. I mean, I feel like Jalen Simpson had the most to gain from this season in regards to his draft stock. I don't think DJ James really hurt his draft stock. I feel like he's still a second round day 2. Like I said, I think he's either going to be taken in the second round or on day 2. And it's hard to say day two because you really like the guy. He was really good for Auburn, but I feel that's just the way it is. Jalen Simpson, I feel he just skyrocketed in rankings, so he's definitely going to be first or second
Yeah.
round guy.
Yeah, and everyone talks about how Nehemiah Pritchett is just he fits your quintessential NFL stereotype, and so he should get drafted. He's going to be a late draft pick. He didn't do anything
Yeah,
special this year. He was a solid player for us. Came in after being injured for the first few games, and really, I mean, he was a very good depth piece this year, and really probably helped some of those younger players. So I can't argue and be disappointed in anything that he did. And like I said, he stuck through three head coaching jobs. He really embraced the Auburn family, and like everyone says, if you love Auburn, Auburn will love you back. And so I can't be mad at a disappointing season by Nehemiah Pritchett. I hope
yeah,
I
no,
hope he I hope he impresses at the NFL Combine. Maybe he turns in some numbers and everybody, he moves up some draft boards. So hopefully he gets drafted and hopefully looks good. Then we have Justin Rogers, who transferred from Kentucky. He,
is
man,
he a
I had
senior
some.
transfer
This was
or is
his.
he a junior?
I think he was a. I don't know. I think he was a junior. I think he played 2 years. I think he played 2 years at Kentucky, and then this was his junior year. So yeah, yeah, and
Well, I feel like if he was a junior, he should have stayed one more year, in my opinion.
well
I feel
the
like he's going to be a undrafted player,
well the thing is,
unfortunately.
what he did at Kentucky is why he got the invite. That's the why he got the NFL Combine invite. I truly believe that, and he was a stud at
Yeah,
Kentucky, and I was hoping for a lot more from him this year, but unfortunately, it just didn't work out. And he kind of just helped us in some areas, and in others, he just underperformed. But everything I heard and everything everybody was saying about him, he was a stand-up guy and never had a bad thing to say. And so you can't be mad at a kid like that. So hopefully
you really
hopefully he
can't.
shows up at the combine and does a really good job,
Yeah, I wish him
and
nothing but
gets
the
drafted
best.
because he is he,
Yeah,
he, he is going to have that Auburn tag. If he gets
absolutely.
drafted, it's going to say Justin Rogers, Auburn.
Yeah.
So,
So, regardless, I wish him nothing but the best.
well, let's go ahead and make a transition, and let's talk about some basketball. Let's talk about some basketball.
Oh boy.
So the most recent two games, it feels like forever ago. The Ole Miss game. It feels like it was a
That feels like
whole,
2 weeks ago.
I don't even remember the stuff. So I don't have much to talk about the Ole Miss game other than the fact that I was glad that we held Flanagan in check because I think he was the most dangerous offensive player they had. Anything else to add?
Yeah, three things. One, I think their small forward, Breakerfield, was Auburn's best player on the court. He shot four air balls, and so that really helped
all
us
game
out.
long, the crowd is just yelling out "air ball" at this guy.
Air
Oh
ball.
my gosh,
That's just one of the most underrated chants in basketball. So
so great.
kudos to the Auburn faithful and student section for staying in his head.
Yeah,
But before the game was even played, I was really concerned about their 7 foot center Musa
yeah,
Cisse and their 7'5" forward Jamarian Sharp. I was really concerned that they were going to just block the mess out of Janai Broom and Jalen Williams and Aiden Holloway, but they only combined for 2 blocks and 13 total rebounds. So Auburn put that to bed extremely quick, and
yeah.
ultimately Auburn obviously won 82-59. And so that was a good game. It was a good game to have heading into the Iron Bowl of basketball, and that's just where, sheesh,
Well,
almost
okay.
had them.
So let's not dive too deep into this game. We're running up
Yeah, I don't
on
want
our time frame. But hey, what's three good things that came from the game, and three bad things? You go ahead and give your good, and I'll give the first bad, and then we'll kind of alternate back and forth. So, what,
Okay.
what was something good that
Um,
happened in this game for you?
I feel like the main good thing that happened was Auburn's fight and tenacity. They never gave up on the game, even when we were down 14 at halftime. Like they gave up 9 turnovers in the first half, but they still continued to fight and brought our team back. They tied the game at one point and then let Bama hit a couple shots, and then we missed the free throws. But their fight, dude, they kept us in the daggum game, and you can't overlook that. Like
Yeah.
you got to have a team that wants it at all times and doesn't give up, and so that's my main good thing from the game.
Yeah. I'll start with my first bad thing. Basically, Alabama's garbage arena. Um,
Oh my God,
they
couldn't
just
even pay the light bill.
yeah, just like the Superdome, they don't know how to turn on the lights, and you ended up having to delay one of the bigger games of the year, and and it led to a 15-minute delay because they couldn't figure out the freaking lights. So that's my bad, and the fact that it took all Auburn fans criticizing the Alabama fans and how loud they get in that arena and calling it a tennis match because of how quiet they are. And it took us making those statements for the Alabama fans to show up. So, kudos to them, but
It's the only game they're going to show up for.
What a bad start.
Yeah.
So, my good, and then you'll give a bad. My good is Janai Broom, man. That dude, he put the team on his back. And there was, all game long, the commentators were even pointing it out. He is just trying to demand the ball. And, kudos to him, man. He shot 11 for 17, 25 points, 14 rebounds. Let me repeat that. 14 rebounds and 5 blocks. Okay? Janai Broom, he is not the reason why we lost that game. He is
absolutely not.
He is not the reason why we lost that game. And so I want to give my first good to Janai Broom.
It's a good one. That was my number 2. I kind of went over my first bad with my first good. It's our turnovers, bro.
Yeah.
9 turnovers in the first half, which resulted in double-digit points off turnovers for Bama. You can't win games like that when you're tripling a team's turnovers in one half.
Yeah.
Bama had 2 turnovers in the first half, and Auburn had 9. It's just embarrassing.
Our season average is 10.2 turnovers. And we
10 a game, I know.
Yeah, we finished the game with 11.
We finished the game with 11.
So, second half. But I agree.
We shorted up in the second half, but that's my first bad is just you can't turn the ball over like that and expect to win the damn game. You just can't.
Yeah. No, I agree. What's your second good?
So you took my second good is Broom just dominating the game and commanding the ball. He made Grant Nelson look pedestrian, and all the Bama fans like, oh, Grant Nelson is gonna embarrass Janai Broom and make him regret coming back to Auburn instead of going to the NBA. It's like that's bullshit.
Yeah.
So I don't think. I think Grant Nelson is overrated and hot garbage. So I'll just go ahead and go into my last good. Trey Donaldson, man. He's not the starter, but he put in some good minutes. In his 18 minutes, he was super efficient shooting the ball. He finished with 60% from the floor and 66% from deep, with 0 turnovers and 1 steal in the game. So I feel like if he was able to get at least 3 or 4 more minutes over Aiden Holloway, because Aiden Holloway was clearly cold. He was 0-7 from the floor with 2 points. If we had just played Trey Donaldson and Chad Baker-Mazara just a little bit longer, I feel like the game would have had a different outcome. So I think Trey Donaldson played very well with the minutes he was given and deserved to be on my good list.
Yeah, I think we had a lot of the same good and a lot of the same bad. We've kind of hit that.
Yeah.
But I think I have a bad that I'm pretty sure you're going to disagree with me on most of it.
Okay.
Just because I feel like I know you and based off of what you just said. I think it's one of the biggest bads in this game. And what led to the turnovers and what led to us, not closing the game out and having pedestrian moments. Had too much hero ball. we had quite a few Carmelo Anthonys out there the other night, and they were out there and they were thinking about themselves, and they were trying to put it all on themselves. And so I appreciate them trying to take that. And there was times when it was needed. We needed somebody to step up. But then there was times where, hey, it's not really gonna go for you.
And it's not working
And you
out.
need to
Don't
pass
do
it.
that.
Yeah, it's not working out. Trey Donaldson, he's one of the ones I think played a little too much hero ball. But man, like you said, and like you pointed out with some of his stats, he came through more often than not in that game. And so I can't argue with that. But I think there were times when he tried to do too much and should have, and maybe he missed a shot or didn't see the open man, and so we had those problems. KD had this that possession where he was just ISOing against the guy, and he literally looked like a miniature Carmelo Anthony out there, ISOing a guy and then jacking up a three and it airballing.
Yep.
That's the old KD. I love KD. I love the way that he loves this game and loves Auburn and loves the arena and loves just being a bulldog on the court. I love KD.
I love our resident psycho, but he just.
But man,
I agree with you. He played too much hero ball. Him and Aiden Holloway both.
Yeah, and Chad Baker Mazzaro had a couple of moments like that where he just tried to do too much. He's been a spark plug for us as well this year and has been a very pleasant surprise. And so I can't get too mad at him because he's going to help us win a lot of games. But again, there was too many people that were playing hero ball and didn't help us. The other thing that led, and the reason why I say that they played too much hero ball, do you know how many assists we had in the game? 11.
Not nowhere near. I was going to say nowhere near our season average.
Yeah, our season average is 18, and we had 11 assists. Okay, Alabama was playing some really good defense, and they were doing a really good job. Auburn is very good at running the pick and roll. They're really good at running the pick and roll. And Alabama did a fantastic job of shutting that down. There was not a moment where we had Cardwell roll into the basket wide open like he has been all season long. There was no moments. Yeah, there was no moments where the guard was able to get by the guy. They played the pick and roll beautifully. I mean, kudos to Alabama for being able to do that because they're a garbage defensive team. But they were shutting it down all night long. And it at the time, it hurts our assist. And had we looked to pass the ball more like we have all season, I think we could have won this game because we outscored Alabama by 10 points in the second half. Again, too much hero ball. And I don't think it's going to be something that we have to complain about this team in the future for this season. I don't think it's going to be something that we're going to remember too much later on down the road. And I'm sure Bruce is going to be pointing this out to these guys because, they're better than this. They're better than that. And I know that they care and I know that they want to win. And I know that they want their other players to succeed. We saw that in the Vanderbilt game. We saw that in the Ole Miss game. They want the other players on that team to succeed. And so they're willing to pass the ball. And I think that they were just a little too, after getting our asses kicked in the first half and looking as bad as we did, too many people wanted to do something about it and wanted to take it upon themselves instead of saying, hey, let's play our game and let's run this the way we run it. Because when we were doing that, we were doing really great. So that was my bad. Not much more to say about the game in all Rihanna.
So I kind of already went over one of my bads about the time management with Trey Donaldson and Chad Baker Mazzara, so I won't go. That's all my bad list, so I won't go into that one.
Yeah.
I'll go into our 3-point defense, bro. We had one of the best 3-point defenses in the league. We were defending it at a 29.1% clip. 29% teams were scoring the three. And so that's really freaking good. And we let Bama shoot almost 40% from three. And that's just, it's not like we weren't contesting the shots. Some of them were wide open, but these guys were having to shoot it 3, 4, 5 feet behind the arc. And they were just drilling them. And I don't know. I really don't know what went wrong. But
Alabama's a really good.
They are.
Alabama's a really good offensive team, and when they play at home, they're a completely different team. They really are. And
Yeah,
so,
I understand that. I get it.
yeah,
But
it hurts.
regardless,
It
like
hurts.
we let them shoot 40% from three, but we still only lost by four. So it speaks volumes to our second half adjustments.
Yeah, it really
Because
does.
being down 14 at half with a team shooting that hot from three, because they started the game shooting 4 or 5 from three and just continued on that super hot streak. And so it speaks volume to our team. I'm super excited to continue watching this team throughout the season. We got Mississippi State up next on deck, and then we got Bama and Neville on the 7th. So, I mean,
Dude,
let's get this season going and continue to
yeah,
be hot.
Mississippi State turns the ball over 12.2 times a game.
Yep.
This team is going to tear them apart. Hopefully they don't have it. It's not a trap game. Hopefully, hopefully they don't let the Alabama loss become 2 losses, and hopefully we turn it around and just curb stomp the Bulldogs.
Yeah. Let's hope, man.
So, but
We could talk about
because
more of
they
that
have a
next week,
chance.
though.
Yeah, yeah, and then
Yeah.
Vanderbilt, which anytime we play them at home, it's pretty much done deal. So that shouldn't be a contest. And then after that, we're going to be recording our next episode, and so we'll be able to talk about more of the basketball games. But before we close tonight, this Auburn basketball team is so fun to watch, man. I told you early on in the
So
season,
good.
we were texting back and forth. I told you, this team reminds me of 2019. They're just, they may not go that far. They may not be as good at the end of the season. But man, are they fun to freaking
I
watch.
think they're
It
better
is-
than 2019.
Whoa, that's a big statement.
I mean,
That is a
2019 was nowhere
big statement.
near as deep as this team is.
Okay.
And the
Right,
defense
but-
wasn't as good as this defense is. 2024 team beats 2019 by 12.
Wow. Are you talking like pre SEC tournament or are you
I'm
talking
talking about the
NCAA
whole
tournament
damn
Auburn?
season. I'm talking about the whole damn season.
Well, yeah, if you're talking that, it's hard to say because that team didn't really turn it on until the last month of the season heading into tournament time.
Don't matter.
And
Don't matter.
And yeah, it does. They were not the same team. The tournament team would have beat the early regular season team by 40 points. So yeah, it does matter. It does
I
matter.
don't know.
We
I
got a
don't
long
know
time
about
to go. We got a long time to go before we can sit here and say this team is better than the 2019 team. That was a Final Four team, Josh. A Final Four team.
My mind's made
Final
up.
Four.
Well, we would
By
have been
the way-
champions if the ref wasn't freaking paid off.
By the way,
Stupid
as we
Virginia.
mentioned earlier in this podcast, we're in Utah, even currently.
Yeah.
We were in Utah in 2019, got to see that team live. We got to see
That
them
was
play.
that New Mexico State
against-
game was so freaking fun.
New Mexico State. I saw them
So
play North
freaking
Carolina. I saw them play. Did they play Kentucky out here as well, or was that?
Thought they
or
played
was it just
Kansas
the
out
two
here.
games? Kansas, that's who it was. So I got to see
Yeah.
Kansas and North Carolina as well as New Mexico State out here. You only went to the New Mexico State game, didn't you? Or
Yeah.
did you go to the
Yeah, 'cause
Kansas
of
one?
work.
I can't remember.
I had to go. It's
Yeah,
just New Mexico
that's
State.
what it was. But man, that was fun. Being able to
Either
see
way,
that
it
and
was
being able to be
super
part
fun
of
to
that
see them live.
environment.
That was so great.
Yeah. So we have a long way to go before we can talk about
Yeah.
that team, this team living up to that team standard, because that team, it's arguably the best team that Auburn has seen.
Whatever. I'm saying it now, and I'm sticking by it. If I gotta
Okay.
eat crow later, then I'll eat
Okay.
crow. But I'm sticking
Well,
by what I say.
Either way, I think we're going
I
to
stand
enjoy
on
watching
business.
this team for the rest of the year. I mean, no matter what the record is at the end of the year, we're not going to win every game left on our schedule. We may not even win. Yeah.
A streak had to end at some point. It just sucks it had
Yeah,
it happened
it
against
did.
Bama.
It did. But this team is going to be fun to watch for
Yeah.
the rest of the season. So, anything else you want to add tonight, Josh?
Go follow us on TikTok, War Eagle Weekly, and follow us on X.com, War Eagle Weekly, same thing. It's just constant daily content that I'm posting on TikTok and X. I mean, we were just having a good time. Come follow us. Maybe even in the future we might have some fans and other Auburn fans just maybe be a guest on the show or something. But
Yeah,
I'm just excited to
we'll
finally
see
be
how
doing
this
this
thing
and talking
goes.
Auburn.
Heck yeah. Well, War Eagle Josh, War
War
Eagle
Eagle.
listeners, and please don't forget to subscribe. We will catch you guys next week.
No, War Eagle, guys.
War Eagle.